Thank you for staying with us. The electoral system of any given country plays a fundamental role in sustaining and shaping the political conduct of its citizens. Although many describe the 2023 general election as the most peaceful, it still had loopholes which questioned the credibility of Nigeria's electoral system. The electoral body, which is the Independent National Electoral Commission, may also need to improve the electoral process to gain back the trust of many Nigerians. Joining us in the studio is a UK solicitor and public affairs analyst, Olufemi Aina. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Compliments of the season.
Yes, same to you. Thank you.
Right. When you look at our electoral process, our system, and all of it, what really is the challenge?
The challenge, so many. And I do agree with those who are asking for reform. There's the need for a root and branch reform of the whole electoral process or processes in Nigeria. And it appears that anytime we had an election, things just nosedive and move from bad to worse.
Really?
Look at the 2023 election. Up to now, cases are still pending in court. And if you give yourself the benefit of hindsight, what of the number? Look at the number of cases still in court. We had the inauguration, was it not in March? And up to today, some of the governors are still having their victory, being challenged left, right, and center. Now, it begs the question, is that the way to go? You see, when you talk about electoral reform, it's about public confidence in the system. And it still boils down to what you call having a free and fair and credible election. And in Nigeria, I want you to give yourself that benefit of hindsight. We had the ways when President Yar'Adua was there. He set up the Justice Uwais Electoral Reform Committee. Yeah. President Buhari set up the Namani Electoral Reform Committee. Despite, we are still where we are. So something is not right. Because, you see, public confidence in that system is very essential. And in the long run, it will aid democracy and it's going to aid development. But we have this issue where the winner and the loser, and nobody is ready to give way. And everybody is complaining. Nobody is saying we don't have the law and what have you. And when you are talking about electoral reform, what it boils down to, there are three applications. One is rule making, rule application, and adjudication. The rule making whereby you have the committee set up and make recommendation. That recommendation goes to the National Assembly, eventually it turns out to be the law. Then the rule application, that boils down to the umpire applying that law effectively to make sure that citizens are not differentiated. However, dispute is going to crop up. Once that disputes crop up, the court must be there to adjudicate in an impartial manner. But there are a lot of issues, which is wrong. Now, the next election is 2027. Now, is this the way whereby, as of now, rather than preparing for the future election, we are still dealing with disputes arising from the 2023 election? So it is very important. We have a robust reform, and it is very important also for institutions to work together so that Nigerians will have a credible leader. Nigerians will have the opportunity to choose a leader of their choice. Because what is going on here is very disturbing. Number one, we don't even know who is choosing all these elected representatives. Is it the INEC, or is it the people? Is it INEC, or is it the court? Because you have this situation where judges are sitting somewhere and saying this person should be the governor, this number of votes should be deducted from this and that. That is not the right way. If we have a proper internal democracy, maybe the number of cases going to court will reduce. And the problem is this: the moment from the party primary, that is where, from that moment, That's where the problem will start. Because number one, you may have godfather imposing a particular candidate, and that will cause a set of disputes. Matters will get to court. While they are still dealing with that, we will have an election. Then people will start making allegations here and there. So the best bet is to make sure that either we have the legislative backing, that all political parties must have a robust appeal panel. And if you don't exhaust that internal mechanism, you cannot approach the court. If we do that, that will reduce the number of cases we have in court. And that appeal panel must be shared by either a senior advocate or somebody who is well-learned or a retired judge, so that they can look at things in the round, listen and give everybody an opportunity. And let me even tell you, most of these people who are aggrieved, what they are looking for, they just want to be heard. That, look, I'm a victim of an injustice. And I'm going to tell you, if you give people an opportunity to air their grievances.
That's why there's internal mechanism. So is the party stopping them from airing their grievances?
Well, I take your point. But my point is that if that internal mechanism is very defective, then you will have plethora of cases which we have. But if the internal mechanism is very robust and everybody has confidence in that system, you see, those, okay, look at the dispute. Now, within that internal mechanism, you are a member of a party. You are not happy. And then you appeal to the party executive or whoever. But the same people who will sit in judgment, they are members of that political party. Some of them still owe their allegiance to the party leader. That is a very defective system. But if you have an independent and impartial panel that will hear the appeal, it may well be you will have confidence in the system. It may well be you will agree with the outcome because you've been heard, you know they are impartial, they are not political, and they are not member. So what I'm saying, the nut and bolt of what I'm saying, is that we need to try as much as possible to make sure that each political party have that. INEC must ensure that before any election, they must ask the right question. What is the internal mechanism you have in resolving disputes? Even organization where you work here, they have a disciplinary procedure. What is the essence of the disciplinary procedure? If you are aggrieved, then you complain. Some people set up a panel, then they take action and make a recommendation. Right. In which case, you won't go to court if you are happy with the outcome. So if that system is
now you mentioned something, if you are happy with the outcome. So yes, it also behoves on the politicians to know how to handle failure, so to speak.
Yes, I know, but you see...
or when matters are not resolved in their interest, they should know how to handle it, because at the end of the day, it will favor one person and will not favor another person.
Yes, I agree with you. But if the system is very fair, if the system is very robust, it may well be the politicians will content with the outcome. But if the system is very defective, then things are going to escalate. And the problem with most of these political parties is that that internal mechanism doesn't work. And the way we can make it work is to make sure that those who are going to adjudicate on disputes, they are very impartial and they are neutral. If that neutrality is there, it may well be they will abide with the outcome. And that is the point. And everybody who wants to participate in that process or processes must be able to sign a document that, look, whatever is the outcome. You see, let me even tell you something, that if you go to court and you have, there's something lawyers call alternative remedy. If you have that alternative remedy, what is the point of going to court? Number one, let's say you have a problem with LASMA and they have a complaint procedure. And that complaint procedure is very robust. Number one, if I'm dealing with your complaint, I'm going to ask you, what do you want? You can say, okay, I want the money paid, refunded.
Agreement, having an agreement, reaching an agreement.
Reaching an agreement or a successful outcome. Now, if you are happy with my recommendation, you won't go further.
Yeah.
Because that system can easily deal with it. And judges who want to hear cases can even ask you that, did you exhaust that alternative remedy which you have
we've seen
before
cases where people reneged on some agreements reached outside of court, where we say cases are settled out of court or some
and then they renege.
But then they renege.
Yeah, that is why lawyers have what they call liberty to restore. If I reach an agreement with you, you sue me for one thing or the other, and then we reach an agreement that I'm going to pay you 10,000 by the 30th of December. If I don't pay, inside that agreement, there is a clause called liberty to restore, which means you can still revive the case. So if that agreement is there and you are not happy, you can still go. What the agreement is this: look, it saves time, it's very prompt, and you want to resolve matter without escalating issues.
Right. So it's back to the individual.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
So apart from the fact that civil society groups, often make a hell of a noise as regards the reason why we need to have electoral reforms, there is no disputing the fact that we've come a long way in terms of reforming our electoral laws and all of that, which you also make allusion to. But I'm wondering why political parties or politicians particularly tend to make more noise when they feel that the loopholes they had seen before the elections didn't go the way they felt it would go. And then you see that they come after the elections to start making a hell of a noise that, no, this is not right, this is not correct. Because before the 2023 elections, general election, we saw that, oh, this was the best, thing that INEC had done after the invention of discovery of sliced bread, or etc. So why is it oftentimes that politicians tend to make more noise than they would do before the elections?
Yeah, well, the reason it's not far-fetched. It's just because either that system there's a defect somewhere, or some of them are bad.
That defect, they felt that it will work in their favor.
If it doesn't work in your favor, definitely you will complain, because some people don't forget.
So how transparent, how genuine is our call for electoral reforms if we are looking for loopholes to work on for our own self?
It will, because the reason being, the electoral reform we are talking about, everybody must have a say, okay? Because if it is possible, because at the end of the day, if you set up an electoral reform committee, there is going to be a public hearing, and that will be an opportunity for those who have been victims of injustice in the past to come forward, and they can make suggestions. But the best way is that, you see, there's something you need to know. Politicians will make promises, because if they don't make, they know some of these promises cannot be fulfilled in a million years. But if they don't make those promises, they are not going to win election. Politicians plot against each other. Those are the nature of politics. If you are appointed as a minister for this by President Tinubu, there's a possibility I'll be going behind, telling the president you are not doing this. That is, it comes within the territory, because politicians have a way of plotting against each other. Let's get rid of him. You know what is going on now? Oshiomhole is saying this. Amosu is saying this. And Oshiomhole said this is how Amosu and the other governor, they all plan against me so that they get rid of me. You see, that comes within the territory. But the question we need to ask as part of the reform, how do we avoid such a situation whereby politicians are spending years and years bickering unnecessarily? How do we avoid a situation whereby a sitting governor is living in a state of uncertainty? Governor Dapo Abiodun, since we had the election, now some people are still challenging his victory. Look at what happened in Kano. Despite the massive turnout, there's still a case going on. Now, when you look at it on the flip side, those individuals, we are all human beings, whether you're a governor or whatever. At the end of the day, there is something within them, that's uncertainty spirit that, look, I'm here today. You don't know what the Supreme Court is going to say tomorrow. Right. You better wrap things up. And if we are not careful, this sort of situation breeds corruption. That is why if we have an electoral reform, whereby if there is any dispute about an individual election, that should be resolved in a very punctilious manner so that they can settle down and face the responsibility behind them. But if they are facing and they are overwhelmed with court cases, he left right and center. How are they going to give us the dividend of democracy? And that is the million-dollar question.
That's the big question. Yeah, we need to quickly go on a break. When we return, we'll continue this conversation. Just stay with us.